Hi everyone. In today's Collecting 101, we're going to continue the series about buying and purchasing games. Last time we spoke quite a bit about pricing trends and understand how the pricing behaves on new games, on used games, on rare games, and on consoles. And as we shared last time in the previous week's video, it's extremely important to understand those timings and how the patterns work so that you try to get the best time to buy the games at the best value possible. In today's session, we're going to expand now to talk a little bit more about where to buy it, where the best places to find the best deals, and how to manage that. Okay? And we're going to be talking a couple different dimensions through that process. Okay? So the first part of this discussion are yard sales. And yard sales are pretty famous and notorious among the collecting and gaming community as a great spot to buy and get good deals. And you know that holds true, okay. But for collecting, it's really not the most optimal location. Why do I mean by that? So when you go to yard sales, it's a gamble. You can arrive at some yard sales and you can hit a jackpot and find some really good stuff, really good prices. But most of the times, you're going to run through a lot of different yard sales until you find something. And then when you add on top of that the collecting dimension, it gets even harder because most people and most of the stuff you're going to find in yard sales are a lot of times just AAA titles, and that's what people tend to buy the most. So, you know, when you're starting out in your collection, yard sales are great. You can find some really good deals there, and I did a little bit of yard sales early on in my collecting days. But after a while, especially as you're going for complete collections, you know, find those exact missing titles that are on your list. You're not going to find them in yard sales, or if it is, you're going to take a long time and be patient. Okay. So again, if you're going after complete collections, beginning of your collecting, yard sales will fine. Afterwards, I think you can spend your time in better locations to buy your games. Okay. The other one are flea markets. Flea markets, very similar to what I referenced in yard sales. You can also find some good deals. It's again a hit of luck in there. Sometimes you can run against people selling in flea markets really good stuff. Other times it's the run of the mill. Again, just go and be patient and be prepared. Again, you're going to find opportunistic buys more than anything. Now, the other dimension about that flea market buying is, you know, the internet has changed completely how you buy games. And that not only affects availability, but also pricing. All these vendors in flea markets have access to the exact same websites and same tools everybody that's watching this video has. So they can also see what the trending price is on major resellers, on pricing chart sites, and etc. So the chances of you finding this huge great buy in flea markets nowadays is not the same as it used to be about 10, 15 years ago. You can still get some good deals and you can still negotiate good prices. But again, be ready for opportunistic purchases, and you're really not going to get that huge of a great deal. The next group are big box retailers. And the overall marketplace of big box retailers have been shrinking more and more because of the internet and competition. Nowadays, if we talk about the United States and overall nationwide big box retailers, we don't have a lot of choices left. We have GameStop, we have Walmart, Best Buy, Target, and beyond those major ones, again, with a nationwide coverage, there's not a lot more options. You'll find some other chains on a regional basis that can also sell games that also are good sources, but again, those are more regional based. Now, considering those group of retailers, all those you can find some really good deals on new games. Used games wise, really the only choice nowadays is GameStop. They're the only ones that still use or play in the used market. But ultimately, with all those big box retailers, it's all about timing. And it's a combination of the timing and pricing trends we spoke about in the previous video, but also a combination of timing with sales events. And me personally, as an example, I always time and match some big purchases with sale events. So when I want to do significant runs and acquisitions, I always try to time it, for example, around Black Friday weeks or other major holiday weeks where you know the big box retailers are going to be doing big promotions. Um, Literally, there's been events in some of those Black Friday weeks, and maybe some of the viewers here were even involved in some of those cases, where I would go to a store and I would do such a big purchase that the receipt would go from above my height to the floor with just games. And all of these were, again, pre-planned timing because I knew those retailers were going to be running some really good promos. So think ahead, plan against those big box retailers, pay attention to the pricing trends and also opportunistic buys, but always be on the vigilant. There's a couple different Twitter accounts that I can recommend that have really good advice or give you a heads up when they see some good pricing on specific games or sales. Always be on the lookout within those Twitter accounts and you can catch some really good deals. Okay. Now, the next group of sources to buy comes back to local video game stores. Local video game stores, and I love supporting local video game stores because nowadays, again, even there, the population has shrunk. We're starting to see a trend where it's growing back because of a renaissance in collecting nowadays. But love whenever I can to support local retailers of video games and try to go and find as many as I can, especially if I do any business trips. Any of my downtime, I always try to find a little bit of time in the evenings or something to try to find one or two local stores. And again, you can find some really, really good deals. But not only that, I love talking to some of those folks that share the same passion because you're going to find employees in those stores that love it, love the gaming industry, and are working in those stores most of the time not because of the money, but because of the passion they feel about gaming. But regardless, if I talk about a buying perspective, local video game stores are another good source. Because they have to compete with big box retailers and online, they typically are pricing their games a little bit more aggressive to try to be relevant and stay in the marketplace. So great source. You can find some really good prices in local retailers or local video game stores. Diversity is a big portion there. So try to find a little network of stores depending on how big your city is, and you'll start to see trends. Okay, so I know some stores in my town where they're really good for certain types of consoles, other stores that are better for other consoles, and so forth. And I always keep track and visit them periodically. Plus, they're also going to be doing sales in major holiday weekends like Black Friday and so forth. And again, sign up to their newsletters. Good deals, good promos, plus you're supporting locals. Okay. The next category then is the internet and online. And the internet is really the great saver for completionists nowadays. Trying to get complete collections of a system would have been extremely, extremely hard without the internet, because you run into very obscure titles and hard to find titles that didn't have big prints. So I do a lot of purchasing online, especially again because I don't have a lot of time because of my job and other responsibilities to be hunting deals around town nowadays. The internet is my savior there. Some of the major sites, again, if I don't count the major online retailers that we spoke about in the previous part of this conversation, so excluding Best Buy, Walmart, Target, and all those online retailers, the other ones that I haven't spoken about include Amazon, include Mercari, include eBay, and there's a couple other handful of smaller type reseller sites that you can also play with. If I talk about Amazon first, Amazon is very competitive, and they are always looking out for whenever one of those big box retailers is going to put something on sale. So 9 out of 10 times, if Best Buy or one of those retailers puts a game on sale, an hour or so later, Amazon is going to match it, and you have an opportunity to buy the same thing online. As far as older collectible games that are not in the current gen, people will also resell through Amazon, but the truth that I found here, and originally it was really good marketplace for used stuff, but that's changed over the last about 3-4 years. Finding really good deals on used or older games in Amazon, it's a hit and miss, really. Every time I go and shop around, and I maybe buy from Amazon some of those used games about 15% of the time, if that. But still, I always like to shop around and compare when I'm looking for games. So then we go on to the next retailers. The one that I'm right now in love with is Mercari. I've been using more and more their marketplace to the point where actually I even opened a store to resell some of my used games there. Link down below if you want to check it out. But Mercari, I've been finding more of a personal community in there, and the pricing are actually pretty good. So I've been picking up more and more games through Mercari. It's a little bit more straightforward. You're not competing in an auction and having to deal with people sniping at the last minute against your pricing, versus you're simply making offers to existing prices. You can buy right there, or you can make an offer, which makes the whole transaction quicker, easier, more transparent. So I'm right now a big fan of Mercari, and highly recommend you guys check them out. They got a really, really good selection of older stuff, and it keeps growing because that community is growing. The other online retailer, eBay. eBay is also another good source. Definitely a really, really good marketplace as far as the number of resellers and access to more stuff. I do have some gripes on eBay. I've been using eBay for now over 10 years and done a lot of purchasing on eBay, but the reality is I'm finding myself buying less and less with them. But still, you can find some good deals there too. Auctions, if you're going to go through that whole auctioning component, be ready. Nowadays, auctions is all about sniping at the last minute for pricing, and if you don't time your bids appropriately, good luck. And then the buy it now function, the best offer, again, you can use some of those, but lately every time I compare the buy it now between eBay versus Mercari, I'm finding better options in Mercari. But still, there's still some items you can find in eBay right now that you can only find it there. So I typically shop heavily between both of those marketplaces, comparing, and really those nowadays are my primary purchasing sources. There are other smaller online outlets that I've used in the past as well, but you know, those marketplaces, there's a couple I can make references and share. Again, hit and miss. The biggest problem I find with some of those smaller ones are inventory, especially again as your collection gets bigger and bigger. Finding inventory of stuff that you need is harder and harder. I think I've covered pretty much every major category now. I'm sure I've missed out ones or twosies, but the big thing, again, advice that I'll give you in buying. Number one, start to build trends on types of locations to do certain types of buys. So new games, used games, older stuff, newer stuff. And especially as you're focusing on one specific collection, you'll definitely find a trend of where you think it's a better option. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. Second, once you establish those trends and relationships of types of things you want to buy, Timing. I can't emphasize that enough. Try to time big voluminous purchases with holidays and major events, especially as far as building up and getting the best bang for your buck. Pay attention to sales, coupons, etc. Hey, every cent counts. Again, especially if you want to stretch that dollar to try to build a big collection. Again, my collection, I didn't build it overnight. A long period of time, many years, using some of these techniques I'm sharing with you and some of these marketplaces will help you get there. Would love to continue this discussion, and if you have any major observations, or if you want to share about other regions outside of the United States, Canada, Mexico, other locations, hey, please share with the collecting community. Make sure you subscribe to not only my YouTube channel, but join our Facebook group, Video Game Fans, where I'd love for you all to share these insights and what are some of your major retailers, observations, where you go to buy certain games, etc. Okay. I really hope you enjoy these series, and hey, drop me any questions you might have regarding it. Thank you for watching.